Welcome to Movie House Cinemas. Popcorn? Yes, please. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the movie. Reclining chairs? Don't mind if I do. Action, thriller, romance, we got it all. Discover the cinema today. Movie House Cinemas, home of the movies.
Good evening, and welcome along to another edition of Rob and Elliott Tonight. Good to have your company once again. So who's going to be joining us on the show tonight? Well, I'll be chatting to Olympic gold medalist Greg Rutherford. This time he'll be telling us about some of the biggest challenges facing us when cleaning our homes. As well as that, top DJ and the only man that I know to be abducted by aliens, Lawrence John, will be with us in the studio. We'll also be chatting to top chef Paul Waters, and we'll have some great music from Baston and Claudia, Buckley, and we'll be chatting to some of the rising stars in the world of equestrian sports. It's all coming up on Rob and Elliott Tonight. But as always, let's begin with some of this week's big talking points. To help us do it, the very lovely broadcaster and journalist Kim Kelly joins us into the studio. How are you this week?
I am absolutely wonderful.
Good. So what are we talking about this time then?
Well, it's getting very close to Halloween.
I don't like Halloween. I don't get excited by Halloween.
Why not?
I just never have felt the need to get excited. And when you have all those little brats...
Is that a Belfast thing? People don't get excited. Whenever you're from the country...
Kids knocking at your front door and doing the trick-or-treating and all the rest of it, I can't be bothered.
Child catcher.
Yeah.
You should go as a child catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. So then there's no point asking you, what are you going as? You see, if you live anywhere but here in Belfast, everyone's like, what are you going as? What are you going as? They don't really do that here.
They don't do it here, but they do where you're from.
Yep, they do it where I'm from. They do it from Derry, Newry. It's like, what are you going as? And this is from like August.
Right, okay.
What are you going as?
So this year, what are you going as?
Well, I thought I would go as Wednesday Addams.
Okay, it's
but
popular.
I don't even like saying it because then that spoiled it.
Yeah.
My boyfriend Nigel's going as Eric Cantona.
I can see that.
Because he looks like him. So here are the top Halloween costumes for 2023.
Go.
In at number 1, Harley Quinn. Still. Who's dressing as Harley Quinn? It's so 2 years ago.
It is, but it's
You make a nice Harley Quinn.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I do. Okay, then we have Ghostface, easy, because you just put on the mask.
That's easy, yes.
It's the Scream mask.
Yeah.
Then we have Barbie and Ken.
No, everybody's done
Everybody's going to be doing
Everybody's
Barbie
been photographed in a Barbie box this year.
We did it first.
We did it actually.
2 years ago, thank you. Super Mario.
Okay, Mario, yes. Number one movie this year, yes.
Then we have Wednesday Addams, which is me. Okay, nobody else, okay, anybody watching this, nobody else is going as Wednesday Addams because I'm going as that, okay?
So where is the Halloween party to be this year then?
Oh, I'm going to a thing in Ballyhackamore.
Are you?
I'm all ready to go. I have tickets and everything. I'm going to I think it's like a rave. Is that the right word for it? Like a disco?
Is it legal?
Oh yes. Probably. I think so. Yeah, what do you call them? Discos? Dances? Discos? Do you want to come?
Dances? Yes, I might come.
Okay,
I think I'll be around.
That'd be good, yeah. So I'm going to go as Wednesday Addams and Eric Cantona. Okay. Then we have Little Mermaid, but how are you going to walk about with a fishtail?
Difficult, yes.
And then we have Oppenheimer. Did I say that right?
Oppenheimer, yes. But how do you do Oppenheimer?
I don't know, wear a suit with with like a bomb coming out of you. I don't know, like a nuclear bomb coming out.
Okay, strange, yes.
I don't know. I'd just wear a suit maybe. I don't know. So you need to start thinking about this.
I'll go as James Bond.
You're so Belfast, honestly.
I'm just like a tux
You're so Belfast. Come on, get into the Halloween vibe.
Okay, if anybody can come up with what I should do for Halloween, get in touch, tell me, and you never know, I could be joining her at the rave in Ballyhackamore.
Can we do a fancy dress show?
If we're on Halloween...
Like Strictly Come Dancing?
We will dress up if we're on Halloween.
Thank you.
And you can wear your
And then
your
at Christmas,
Wednesday.
can we dress up as well?
That's taking it too far.
Okay.
Too far. Okay, what are we moving on to now?
Working from home. Now, I largely work from home, but apparently it's not good for you because in a day you eat 1,000 more calories, and I could believe it.
I get that.
Because basically the tiles in my kitchen to the fridge, I think they're worn a bit thin, you know?
Yeah. I've worked at home since the pandemic, and I've stayed there, and it's only this week that I've decided I'm getting out of the house.
Yes.
And I'm going back into an office again.
Really?
My
I'm
own
still
office
working.
away from the house.
It's just the eating festival.
Yeah.
Like this morning, whenever I was left to my own devices, I ate a whole brie. Just because it was there, you know, like left over from the weekend. A whole brie, like a whole triangle of brie.
I had lasagna this morning at 11 o'clock this morning.
It's brutal.
That's too early, isn't it, for lasagna?
And it's definitely too early for a quarter of brie, isn't it? It's not. The things you eat, honestly, because you're at home, you go in and you eat bits of chocolate and bits of cooking chocolate and things you find, broken biscuits, just like you go scavenging like some kind of. I wish there was a video in my kitchen of me going in like a squirrel scavenging round.
Yeah.
You don't eat a proper meal.
No.
You don't sit down and eat like a sandwich. You just eat everything you see. And then you don't move. And then you don't speak to anybody.
Okay.
So I think we all need to come back to the office. Although I haven't worked from an office since 2010.
Really?
I have no social skills left now. We film this in the lovely Belfast Exposed building.
We do, yes.
And
yeah.
it's so nice down there. Often I walk through and think, these people look lovely. I'd like to work here. And then I go home and put on my dressing gown and eat cheese.
That's the good thing about working at home. You can wear your dressing gown all day long.
I do dressing gown all the time. Like
Yeah.
I don't normally get dressed. There's no point.
No. The only time
Wasting
I
clothes.
get dressed if I'm doing a Zoom interview.
Just get the top
I'll
half.
put a shirt on the
Yeah,
top.
just do the top
yes.
half.
But on the bottom, well, I'll leave that to your imagination.
The mind boggles.
So there we go.
Rutherford.
Right, one more. What have we got?
Names. Now, you know on this show we love to talk about baby names because obviously a baby being born is such a joyous occasion.
It is, yes.
So every now and again these surveys come out, and this one has come out, and it reckons that a very unusual name for a boy is trending for 2023. And it's unusual not because it's like very modern, it's unusual because it's Gary.
Gary is back.
Gary is back.
Wow.
Why? I don't know. Who's Gary that's famous? That's Gary Lineker?
Gary Lineker, but
No.
he's you would think it would be
I
something
don't
young
know.
and trendy.
Gary
but
is
there you go.
trending as, like, these names take like 20-year cycles.
Yes, yeah.
So we're looking forward probably to a load of Lindas and Cheryls. But yeah, Gary. But a name that nobody was named this year so far is Stephanie.
Stephanie, well,
Which
yes.
is a nice name.
That's
I mean,
a nice
Stephanie's
name,
a nice
Stephanie,
name.
Yes.
Nobody's called Stephanie anymore.
Okay.
It's
Stephanie.
finished.
It's finished.
But hello, Gary.
There you go. It's all coming back. Fabulous. Is that your lot?
That's my lot.
You want to hear some new music now?
I'd love to.
It's a guy called Chris Baston who was on the show with us a couple of years back. He's got a brand new album out, and this is a stripped back version of one of the songs. It's called Fell For It Again. Here's Chris Baston.
I see it all now, oh so clearly. You sold me cheap when I loved you dearly, and I nearly fell for it again. You wrote me off, signed yours sincerely. P.S. You didn't mean it really, and I nearly fell for it again. But if I fell for it again, I might fall forever. But if I fell for it again,
Great song from Chris Baston. That's from his brand new album. That's called Fell For It Again. Now, on the way shortly, we're going to be talking about some of the biggest challenges facing us when it comes to cleaning our homes. To help us do that, Olympic gold medalist Greg Rutherford joins us right after these.
Heading to the North Coast, the Jet Centre in Coleraine offers entertainment for everyone. There's an 8-screen movie house cinema with all the best movies, 10-pin bowling, a massive arcade, soft play for the wee ones. Outdoors, there's a mini fun park and gem mining, plus an 18-hole floodlit mini golf course. Rain or shine, there's something for everyone here at the Jet Centre. Find out more at thejetcentre.co.uk.
And welcome back to Rob and Elliott tonight. Now, this time round, we're talking about some of the messiest snacks out there and some of the crumb hotspots in your home. As well as that, we're going to find out about some of the biggest cleaning challenges that we may face. And to tell us more, dad of 3 and Olympic gold medalist Greg Rutherford joins us now. Greg, how are you, sir?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Very well, thank you. So I'm melting in the heat here in Belfast, and I'm sure you are in London at the moment as well.
London is also very warm, and I'm in a glass cage of warmth, shall we say? But no, we can't complain. We shouldn't complain, because whenever we complain, it then goes back to what we mentioned very briefly off air there. It goes back to 12 degrees and drizzle, and then we can't wait for the sun to come back. So yeah, embracing it as much as we possibly can. And as you mentioned then as well, the research done by Bosch, talking about crumbly, flaky foods that get to every nook and cranny in your house. And the research is effective, I'm going to say for me, has been really helpful. Because I realise all of a sudden, I'm not alone.
Yes.
And often we've got people coming over to the house and I'm panicking about how it looks and the fact that the kids have just had another croissant and have walked through it as well. Kids eat croissants now. I didn't know what a croissant was when I was a kid. 20 years ago, these weren't readily available, but they seem to be nowadays, and they get everywhere. And it's been really interesting seeing the league table.
Now, I love this league table.
And I feel like some of these bits, some people are going to go, oh, and it's a bit like maybe a football league after a few games. You can't judge everything, but 2,000 parents have been asked about this, and it comes. Number 1 is crusty bread, and I'm going with that because I don't know about you, I love a bit of crusty bread. I like the crustier the better, with some butter on it. So freshly made crusty bread is possibly the greatest invention to ever come onto the earth. And I consume it at a rate of knots nowadays. Now I'm allowed to, and I say allowed to, now I can. And it does also leave a mess. But obviously by me loving the crusty bread, number 4 is croissants, like we mentioned. And pain au chocolat. When was pain au chocolat made a readily available thing as well?
Yeah, that definitely wasn't around when I was a kid.
No, the world has changed dramatically in the last 20 to 30 years, and the kids love making a mess with it. So it's about having the right apparatus to actually get on top of it and sort it. And I'd say the research is a good thing from the point of view of making you maybe feel at ease a little bit. Like I say, like you've got so many people that will leave things like crumbs and flaky mess for up to a year and move the sofa or something and go, ah, yes, we did have a Weetabix last year and there is the remains of it that the children have left. And it's not feeling bad about that, right? Because that's the thing. You might be the same as me. We have anybody coming over, we panic. We're like, oh, God, look what the children have done. We need to sort this out. Actually, with research like this from Bosch, you realise that you're in the same boat with a lot of people. And actually, maybe we shouldn't worry as much as we do about it.
Now, coming back to the survey, we've discovered that 2 out of 5 of us actually find cleaning oddly satisfying. Now, I'm surprised by that.
Do you know what? I think what I've found with it, and with vacuuming in particular, is that it creates enough noise that I can drown out everything else around me. So in actual fact, it may be not the process of actually cleaning, but it's just the fact that I can use white noise to block out the 5 million questions that I'm getting from my children, especially over the summer, from my children at all times, or the fact that the dog's barking at something else. You can sort of go into a happy place for a little while and you go, well, it looks a lot better now because I've picked up all of those crumbs. But equally, I haven't had anybody ask me a ridiculous question for the last 5 minutes. That's quite a... So I feel like that's part of it.
Now tell me this, what was more nerve-wracking, training for the Olympic gold or doing Strictly?
Good question. Do you know what? Look, the Olympic final, and I was fortunate enough to go to 3 Olympic finals in my career, that was my job, if you like. That's what I did, and I thrived off of those moments, and I loved it more than anything. The weirdest thing happened with me in Strictly. So when everybody at home is watching the video about how your week's training's gone, obviously the dancers get onto the dance floor ready to go. And that was the moment, where I knew it was about to start and that pressure was about to be heaped on my shoulders. I loved it again. The training was a nightmare because I was rubbish at it. I had 2 left feet, but I tried hard. But I tell you what, that moment of stress, as I think 99.9% of people will find it, I loved it. The idea that I now had to do it and there's no going back, and you could make a complete fool of yourself on TV, as I probably did week in, week out, but I embraced that. I loved that pressure. So it's one of those weird things, but obviously I wasn't very good at it, so I knew I wasn't very good at it, and I accepted that. But there's just those moments in life, and from the background that I came from, they're really special. It's probably what I miss. It's just why I like taking on challenges now, so I can live those moments again.
Now, sport was always something that you were obviously good at right from a young age, but athletics wasn't your first choice. Football was your big thing as a kid, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. So I started off, I've got a history of football within the family. Nobody that I'd known said, because it all died way before I was born, everything else. But yeah, my great-granddad was a top professional football player, played for Newcastle, England and Arsenal. The oldest player, actually, still to ever play for Arsenal. So he still holds that record now. I mean, we're talking 100 years ago. I mean, it's a long old time ago. And then, yeah, so for me, my first love was football. I am still a massive Man United fan, and I know that will split certain people, but that's how it's been. I loved football. I took it as far as I probably could. I knew I'd never be good enough, but I loved sport. And like the big bit of advice I always give to anybody, especially young kids, is expose them to any and every sport you possibly can. If they love one, let them try others, because you never know what they might become. Sort of hedging your bets with just one singular sport is always difficult. I was really fortunate. I tried so many, and it meant that I found the bizarre niche physical activity of jumping into a sandpit.
So out of all the athletics then, why the long jump?
Well, I wasn't good enough at the other ones. That's the big thing. I tried very hard with it, but I wasn't quite good enough with it. No, look, I started off as a sprinter when I did all the other sports. So when I played football, I generally played up front because I could run quicker than most of the kids. If I ever played rugby, I was either an outside centre or a winger, and it's because I could run fast with the ball. I played a bit of badminton. I could get around the court quickly. The one thing I had was speed.
Yes.
And then I realised quite quickly within the world of athletics, I was never going to win any major titles as a sprinter. I wasn't quite quick enough. I was good, but I wasn't good enough. And then realised that I could jump. And as bizarre as it sounds, you have to have the ability to jump to become a jumper. I know some people might go, it's obvious, but everybody would think you can jump. But to actually do the sport, you have to have this thing inside you that means you can do it properly. And again, unless kids try it, they're not going to know. And I'll be honest, at the moment, the world of long jumping within the UK, especially within the men's department, is really lacking. So, yeah, you've got to try these sports to find out what works for you. And, yeah, give everything a go.
Exactly. Now, we're all looking ahead to 2024 already, getting very excited about the Olympics, Paris 24. What do you reckon Team GB's chances are then?
I think we're going to do brilliant. I think what we're going to see from Paris is basically it's going to be like a festival environment, because we had Tokyo, and I was in Tokyo watching and presenting on the games there, and it felt really hollow is probably the right word. No fans made it a really different, and I take my hat off to all of the athletes out there, because they did an incredible job raising their game for it. But in Paris, I think we'll see something really special. And from the British standpoint, and I talk mainly of track and field because it's the sport that I come from, we are in a real purple patch, and we are going to see some medals coming out of that. And I am so excited to even just now be the fan on the side watching it, because it is going to be really, really special. We've just had the World Championships. Any athletics fans will watch the World Championships and seen how well we can do. And for us going into Olympic Games, I think we might have one of the best Olympic hauls that we've had in a long time in track and field.
We look forward to that. Greg, thank you so much for joining us, and I'll leave you to melt in your little box in London. Thank you for joining us.
And you, all the very best. Thank you.
So from a long jumping gold medalist now to the world of equestrian sports, and recently I went down to the Gransha Equestrian Centre for a great family day out to meet some of the horse riding stars of the future. Here's what happened.
Today is the final of our 2023 Equine Awards. It's the Rising Stars final, and this is all about the kids. So they have had the chance to qualify over the last few months on their ponies through dressage and show jumping, and first and second place of each qualifier made it through to the final. So all those kids are here today with their ponies for a chance to win prizes to our gala ball on the 7th of October.
Wow, what I've noticed as well today is some of the kids are so young, but they're great on those horses, aren't they?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They would put some of us older riders to shame, their class, and just seeing them all so happy getting their wee prizes, it just means the world. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
So what's happening behind us at the moment? What's happening out there on the field then?
So this behind us here is our show jumping arena, and we are moving on to our 50 centimetre class. Then after that we have our 60s, 75s and 90 centimetres.
What about the equestrian scene here in Northern Ireland? Is it a good scene at the moment then?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's plenty of talent around Northern Ireland, that's for sure, yeah. And up and coming riders and current riders at the moment, yeah. There's definitely quite a few to watch.
And definitely some of the people we're seeing here today, these are going to be the stars of the future, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. There's going to be plenty of stars for the future.
So just to let riders know, in the next class, the 50 centimetre class, the course will be different.
So I'm standing here with Amelia, who's only 6 years old, and this is Bart. He's 21. But what I want to know, Amelia, what are you here for? What are you doing?
I was doing jumping and dressage.
Wow. Now tell me about dressage, because I'm not sure what that exactly is. What does the horse need to do?
He needs to trot around the arena.
And what about this lovely Bart? Is it a lot of hard work?
Yes.
I would say so. Do you have to clean him and everything?
I help clean him.
Oh, you help? Does that mean Mum does all the work?
Well, sometimes I help.
I just love horses, but I have never had the chance to actually really do horse riding. Is it something that you would recommend?
Yes.
Brilliant. Well, I think that I have to really get on the horse, because if a 6-year-old can do it, then so can I.
Penny, welcome to freezing Northern Ireland. How are you feeling today?
It's a bit chilly today, but it's been, at least the rain stopped.
Exactly. So they've brought you in to be one of the judges for today. So what kind of things can you expect then today?
Today what we're looking for is the riders of the future. So the future rising stars. So it's really exciting.
Brilliant. So what kind of things do you look for in a rider in the future then? What kind of top qualities should they have?
Riders for the future, we're looking for natural ability, the usage of the arena, and how they are approaching the jumps.
All right. What about the horses as well? Because I'm seeing some stunning animals today.
The ponies here are amazing, but a good pony will be an older pony that's been produced for years, and they are class, and you can't replace those.
What about you? Because you're a former rider yourself. Do you miss the days competing and doing all the stuff?
I do miss the days of competing. I don't miss it when it's raining. I'd much rather be in the judges' box, but I do miss the riding, yeah.
And how far did you take it? I mean, world champion level, how far did you get to?
I went up to international level, so I was very lucky. I had a lot of fun when I was doing it. But as you do as you get older, your falls build up, and then it's time to be on the floor and promoting the future riders.
Wow. I see another award here. This is Grace. Grace, how old are you?
8.
You're 8 years old and you've just won which competition?
The Rising Stars.
Wow, so you've got a rising star competition, which means that you are a rising star.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how long does it take you to look after your horse?
Quite a while.
Do you wash and clean your horse yourself?
Yeah.
Is it mucking out?
Yep.
Yes. No help from mummy?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. So, Auntie, it's Courtney.
Yeah.
Courtney, it must be quite difficult work to look after a horse, especially when when they're going into competitions.
Yeah.
Tell me about the process.
Yeah, it is. It's long, but we're very lucky with Grace that we have a massive family support network, and a lot of the girls on the yard love to get stuck in and help Grace, and she is very good. I think having been brought up since she was really little, she knows that she has to do it herself, otherwise she just won't do it. And yeah, I'm delighted for her because it was her birthday yesterday, so she couldn't ask for a better birthday present.
Well, that's a big happy birthday. That's really important for me to mention. Are you excited? Good, good. Did you get lots of presents? Good. And those who are dying to ride horses, I've always wanted to do it, but it just wasn't something that we did in the city. I'm from Belfast. What would you say to any children now who would love to just do this?
Get your mummy or daddy to bring you to Gransha and have a riding lesson. It's where everybody starts. It's where all the kids here started, and then they progress on. They get their own pony, and then they end up like a Grace.
Well, you can't start without your own horse, yeah? Brilliant. Thank you very much, Courtney, and thank you so much, Grace, and congratulations once again.
Okay, Aaron, so first of all, I know nothing about the equestrian world. I know nothing about horses. The only thing I know is that I've backed a few losers in my time.
Well, sorry I'm so much like you, but my family around me know an awful lot more about horses than I do. I suppose you want to know why the Rising Stars started with the Equine Awards.
Exactly, tell us all about that.
Okay, my granddaughter, who Pauline there has just interviewed, we discovered just as going into COVID that she had a scoliosis. She was 9, and we were told that she'd have to wear a brace and probably have to have surgery, £50,000 get saving. But we thought we'd try exercise. 9-year-olds don't want to lie on the floor lifting legs, rolling over. And we live quite near to Gransha, so we tried out horses. 2 years later, Megan, her back is straight. She's been discharged from the hospital. And it's down to a dirty, stinky, smelly 4-year-old with a four-legged with a tail horse. She's to sit up straight and she enters competitions, but she never was able to win anything. And I used to look around and see lots of kids not winning out. And you and I as parents both know, we say to our children, it's not the winning, but it's the taking part. That's hard on a 9-year-old. Everybody goes in should be recognised, whether it's best turnout, whether it's whatever. It's not just about the winning. Everybody wins, so they get a sash and they get a big rosette to take home, and Granny gives them a fiver, and it's a good day out. It's all about the kids. This is Hannah, who's actually going in for one of our competitions now. She's doing the dressage.
Okay, Hannah, tell us all about the dressage then. What exactly does that involve?
I always say it's a bit like a fancy flat work sort of thing. So you go around into your ring and you just have to ride your best. You've got to show how good you are to the judges, and then it's the fun of it, waking up and getting platted, getting bathed and everything. It is fun. A lot of people would say that dressage is one of the most boring ones, but I find it to be the most fun out of them all.
And what about an event like this? What does it mean to people of your age to get involved in something like this?
It's really just the feeling of knowing that you've done something. Like, reasons why I do this is because I want to be able to prove myself and show that I can be better and I can be good. And it's really nice for like your self-confidence and things. It's just to go out there and see how good you can do.
And what about the big plans for the future, the big ambitions? What would you love to do?
I would like to get out and do more dressage, and then maybe just a bit more show jumping as well. It's another one that I really enjoy.
I'm Megan.
Megan and?
Charlotte.
Charlotte. And do you both have horses?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start with you, Megan. Tell me about your horse.
He's called Patch and he's 15 years old.
And how long have you had him for?
2 years in October.
And have you always ridden?
No, I only ridden since I was about 10 and I'm 12 now.
And do you do the competitions as well?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you tell me about your horse.
His name's Shadow and he's 19 years old.
He's 19? Wow. And you tell me about Shadow. What sort of temperament does he have?
He's just very lazy and very slow, but he's a really good jumper.
Right, okay, so he's a good jumper and yet he's lazy and slow. That sounds really funny. So do you think that would be a good horse for me to try?
Yeah.
But would he be big enough for me to get on him?
Probably, yeah.
So, well done, Freddy.
I've got a lovely set of twins who are here at the Equine Centre today. What is your name?
I'm Emily.
Emily and?
Sophie.
Wow, and how old are you girls?
I'm 8. I'm 8 too.
So not nearly 8, just you're 8. When were you 8?
March.
Oh my goodness, how exciting is that? So tell me about your horse riding.
I've got a pony called Ralphie and my sister's got a pony called Joey.
And do you look after the horses?
Yeah.
So mummy, is that true? Do they look after their horses?
Well, they do. They muck out. They've got their own wheelbarrows, their own shovels, their own grapes, but Mummy has to do a lot of hard work, and Granda too. Granda does a bit of hard work. He would do a wee bit of walking with them on the quad and he feeds them. He's the nutritionist, we call him, because sometimes he likes to overfeed, make him spicy, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's hard work getting children ready for a competition and a horse. Tell me the process.
The process, well, it all starts off with we'll have to get these two out. So we'll have to get them out from head to toe. And of course it has to be all the latest gear. And then ponies started yesterday with washing the two of them. They were bogging, they were in a field, disgusting bogging. So I had to scrub the two of them. Then I had to go pick these two up from school, back up the road and plait the two of them. Make sure they clean shavels all evening so they don't lie, because they're skee ball, so they tend to lie in a bit of muck now and again. And then up this morning from 6 o'clock to get up the road, get everything sorted out, into the car and down the road and here.
Well, it sounds like they have an absolute ball, but so do you.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I am the heart and soul here. I'm supporting all the riders here. We had a wee rider. It's part of our team, a wee girl, Lucy. She actually won the Rising Stars and I was standing at the side crying. I couldn't believe it. Absolutely buzzing. I'm just buzzing to be here, and for these two to be able to get to the final, that's an achievement on its own.
Well, I chose the right person to speak to. Amelia Logan, you won. Tell me how you're feeling.
Good.
Is it really exciting?
Yes.
And tell me, for your horse, does your horse know that it wins?
Yeah.
Well, I'm very excited because I chose a winner just by chatting to her beforehand. Do you think I brought you some luck?
Yes.
Well, there you go. So if you want to ride someone like little Bart here, you need to have me in your corner because I can bring you luck. What's happening there? What's he doing?
He's trying to chug down.
He's trying to... Is he trying to get some water?
No.
No, he'd rather have the grass?
Yes.
Well, we better let him go and get some food. Will he get food for a reward?
Yes.
Well, he deserves it, and so do you. Well done.
And what a great day it was down there at the Gransha Equestrian Centre. Now, still to come, we'll have some brand new music from Claudia Buckley. Top chef Paul Waters joins us, and DJ Lawrence John is here right after these.
Here we are on the north coast, where sporting legends are made. He needs this putt to advance to the next stage, but can he do it? The crowd are holding their breath. Can he cope with the pressure?
Dad, would you take the shot?
Yes!
Well. And welcome back to Rob and Elliott tonight. Now, my next guest is a legend in broadcasting. He's also the only man that I know to be abducted by aliens. And he's going to tell us about his latest radio project as well. I'm pleased to say, for the first time ever on this show in 20 years, Lawrence John is here. It's only took you 20 years to get in that seat.
Good to see you, Robin. Good to see you.
You go back, way back in time, don't we?
I know. We're both over 21.
Well, exactly.
But it's great to be here. Great and surprising.
Yeah.
You know why?
Why?
Because I thought it was the Late Late Show I was coming to. I got a call from my agent. I call him Book 'em Dano because he gets me all my bookings. And he says, I booked you on a chat show. And I thought, with all this publicity for the Late Late Show and Patrick Keelty taking over, I thought, Late Late Show, here I come, you know?
Yes.
And then I arrive here, and it's not Patrick Keelty, it's your good self.
Yeah, and you get one of the longest running chat shows in the country.
Absolutely.
20 years
20 years.
Now.
They haven't caught you on yet.
They haven't, no. Anyway, well, one of the first big interviews I ever did was with Paddy. He'd just done his first ever sellout night in the Ulster Hall, and I interviewed him straight after that gig. And he was lovely, as he still is today.
Very funny guy, very talented.
Obviously, he's picking up lots of publicity at the moment. Publicity has been something that you've been good at.
Well,
over the
on
years,
a few occasions,
occasions. I mean, I remember one of my first times hearing about you on the radio was that famous BCR incident when you locked yourself in a studio.
Yeah, that was it. Basically, I'd been... the station was going nowhere from day one. No listeners, no real leadership or format. And I was just a little bit tired of going through the motions there myself, and then it was taken over by the Oyston group from England. And Karen Oyston came over herself to oversee things, and I was so kind of unenthusiastic that I'd come off my daily show after 3 or 4 years and decided I only wanted to do a Sunday show just to keep my hand in and or voice in, and I was on a Sunday show then by the time Oyston took over. So when I finally got a meeting with her, I said, look, I'm not just a weekend part-time jock, you know, I'm a full-time guy. I've been all over the world DJing on big stations. I'm not a part-timer, so, you know, don't think of me as a Sunday afternoon guy. She said, okay. And I wasn't even invited to the launch. I found out by accident when I went to the station one afternoon, or one morning. And I said, where is everybody? They're down at the Europa, this press launch. And I thought, I'm obviously nowhere to be featured in the schedule if I haven't been invited to the launch. So I ran down just in time to hear the lineup. And Karen Oyston had introduced everybody. And I went over to her immediately after. I said, where's my show? And she says, oh, speak to Tony. She says, sit down with him, 6 o'clock today, figure out what's happening. So I went to see him at 6 o'clock. And he says, kind of saw you as a roving reporter about Belfast, you know. I said, you didn't even talk to me about it. That's not something I want to do. I could do, but it's not what I want to do, a daily show. So that was it. And that was Friday. The launch was the Thursday. The Friday I had the chat with him, I think. And my next time on air was Sunday. And I thought, my goodness. Plus I've been kind of promised the breakfast show, only to find that I didn't get it. So I thought, I'm off here, you know. And I thought, you know, I'm just going to give him a piece of my mind before I go. And I remembered DLT had given the BBC a bit of a rollicking when he was leaving. And I thought, I'm going to lock myself in the studio, which I did. And the next thing I know, now I did invite the TV cameras.
I remember that, yes.
Good morning, GMTV sent a cameraman, and I was in the studio, obviously, and Karen just happened to come in, just out of the blue at the time when I was just going into the studio to lock myself in. I'd talked to the guy on the air and said, look, I managed to persuade him that this was a publicity thing, that I'd just be 10 minutes, could you leave the studio for 10 minutes? And then I took it over, you know. So I was raging, absolutely raging, you know. And I'm very mild-mannered at the best of times. Very seldom would I lose my temper, be angry even, you know. I tend to be very easygoing. So locked myself in the studio, and the next thing is Karen sent in the newsreader. He's strangling me to get me off the desk in the fader and close the microphone, and had a leather jacket on, a bit of a James Dean pose that day, you know. And I thought he'd torn it, but he'd actually ripped an epaulette, I think it was, off. And I refused to move from that seat. And for about 10 minutes, this struggle went on, and eventually the police came in, and he was asked to move out of the studio. And they went and spoke to the boss, and they came back to me and said, listen, I've spoken to the owner. She's not going to press any charges if you just leave peacefully now.
Yes, yeah.
I said, fair enough, I've said my bit. And I left, and that was it. It was... Mary Johnson was on the station at that time, and she was listening at home. She says, it was the best 10 minutes ever on BCR. This was happening live. It was a TV drama on radio.
Fast forward all these years later, you're still in radio.
Yes.
You're still broadcasting away. You're doing Radio Nova.
Yes.
And for a lot of our viewers who are watching in Dublin in the south now, they'll remember Radio Nova with fond memories, won't they?
Absolutely. It was one of the most popular and famous stations in Europe from 81 to 86. I was on it from in the year 83 and 84. I had a brilliant time. Fast forward to the COVID crisis there a couple of years ago, and I had left Dublin to go to work in Monte Carlo on a station over there, Riviera 104. And then when I came back to work on Kiss FM, a pirate, cross the border into Belfast from Monaghan. Short-lived because they brought in legislation again outlawing unlicensed stations. So I was off air, and then I started my own. I went to BCR after that in the short term.
Yes.
And then when I left and resigned, locked myself in the studio, blah, 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 I then decided there's nowhere else to go. Being in downtown, there's only 2 commercial stations at that stage. So I thought, where do I go? Start my own. So I went back to the same site that Kiss FM had been on. I got the same engineer. He put everything technically together, and I was a one-man operation. Organised all the jingles, wrote the commercials, voiced the commercials, gave the station an alien sci-fi theme.
Yes.
Because I didn't have other DJs because I couldn't pay them.
No, exactly.
And I didn't want to be on myself all the time.
Yeah.
Who does he think he is? You know,
Yes,
it's just Lawrence John Radio, 24 hours. No, I didn't want to do that. So I gave the station an identity by getting an American voiceover guy to read these scripts and produced sweepers that people were loving because they were funny.
Yes.
And I would write funny. Every advert was a sci-fi advert that was really funny.
And were you abducted by aliens yourself?
Well, if I told you that, I'd have to kill you, Robin.
I think it's important to ask that because you may know the Pentagon are now having to disclose these documents that they have about UFOs and things.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. It's timely, I suppose. But I was approached by some men in suits. I'll not say men in black because they weren't black suits, but I was approached and asked to keep my mouth shut. So I haven't been talking about it since. I talked about it initially. Jerry Anderson, I remember, Radio Ulster interviewed me, and a few others. But I was told it would be in my best interest not to do it any longer, so I didn't.
Okay.
But
the truth is out there.
The truth is definitely out there, and I was missing for 3 days.
Wow.
And was found by the police in the middle of a forest after they dragged the lake and had the foresters out looking for me. So it was quite a big story. I was on Big Breakfast in the UK, interviewed about it, and Jon Snow from ITN or Channel 4, whatever it was at the time, interviewed me. So it was a really big story. And then, as you know, I've always had music shops along on the side because I'm so passionate about music. So when I started Energy 106, I had CD Heaven in High Street, the first all CD music store. And as soon as I had Energy Radio, I changed the name to the Energy 106 store. So you had a big high street shop for Energy 106, and I had the studio and mixing desk in the front window looking out into the street, and people used I'll never forget the reaction. People would come in to the shop and their mouths would be agog, and they'd hear me, the voice they heard on the radio, doing not shows but announcements and adverts. I did most of the adverts. So it was just priceless, and it lasted 7 years before it was closed down.
Lawrence, we could chat all day, and I'm going to have to get you back again at some other stage.
Absolutely.
Radio Nova is on the air now.
It is, and we're hoping, just a final note, we're hoping to actually, we're exploring DAB license for Belfast.
Somebody has to.
Yeah, and I'm hoping to get it on. But in the meantime, it's online. We have listeners all over the world. A big listener base in Dublin, some here in Belfast, big listener base in London, where Chris Carey had tried the Nova satellite service. But you'd be surprised the number of, you get these, I think I had 4,000 Russians at one stage. weird. You
There
know?
you go.
So you get them from all over the world, and you can see these weird places where people are listening. But it's enjoyable, and I'm loving it. You know.
But it sounds great. I've tuned in myself a couple of times.
Yes,
It sounds
good.
brilliant.
Well, good to talk to you,
Good
Robin.
to see you. Thanks for
and maybe when I'm on the Late Show, I'll try that one about thinking it was the Robin Elliott show.
You could try that with Paddy. Please do that. Lawrence John, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Right, coming up next, we're going to get some cooking tips and find out about a brand new website that features some fabulous recipes from chef Paul Waters. And Paul joins us right after these.
Let the good times roll at Super Strikes at the Jet Centre. You can now book your lane online. We've got 14 bowling lanes and 4 mini bowling lanes. Plus we serve delicious hot food and snacks, or enjoy a cold beverage with your food after the game. Discover bowling today at the Jet Centre. Jet Centre, entertainment for everyone.
And welcome back to Robin Elliott tonight. My next guest is a top chef who's worked all over the world in places like the Savoy Hotel in London. He's even worked in the Sydney Opera House. He's just launched a brand new website as well, all about healthy eating and good food. We're going to find out more because Paul Waters joins us in the studio. Paul, how are you?
I'm very well, Robin. Thanks. How's yourself?
Very well, thank you. Good to see you. So we'll talk about the new website in a second, but I'm fascinated by your journey, how it all started, because I believe you started in a hotel that I know very well, the Beachlawn Hotel in Dunmurry.
Yes, I started on the Beachlawn when I was 17, and I never worked in a kitchen before. I didn't even know anything about food, and I remember getting a phone call on a Sunday night from the manager saying, would you want a job as a trainee chef? And I was all excited, saying, yes, I'll take the job, and this is when can you start? And I says, the next day.
Yeah.
So I remember going to my parents and saying, look, I've got a job as a trainee chef, and my parents laughed at me, my brothers laughed at me, and but they were hard. My mum looked at me and goes, what's wrong? I says, I can't peel a potato.
Yeah.
So my mum's going, you're 17 and you can't peel a potato? I says, no, I can't. So my mum went out to the local supermarket, and she brought bags and bags and bags of potatoes back, and my father brought me into the kitchen and he says, okay, this is how you peel a potato.
Wow.
So I was peeling potatoes all night and started working the Beachlawn the next day, and the first job I had was peeling potatoes.
So you're an expert then?
So I'm now an expert at peeling potatoes, so if anybody ever wants any potatoes peeled, give me a shout, I can peel a potato for you.
What about your parents? Were they good in the kitchen, were they?
My mother was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
My mother and my grandmother, they probably would be my biggest influence in cooking. Because my mother, I had 2 brothers, and obviously my father, so there was 3 boys in the house, and my mother worked full time, my father worked full time, so my mother used to come home from work, she would cook the best food. So I was always fascinated by watching my mother and my grandmother how to cook food.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, by then, at an early age, I was like, you know what, I want to be a chef. My father was a school teacher, and when I see what my father did to kids, to inspire kids to be what they are today, was sort of what I see myself today now, if I inspire people how to cook, which
that's what the website's all about, really, is inspiring people to cook good, healthy meals, isn't it?
Exactly. The way I look at it is, I call it Simple, Tasty, Healthy by PW. And the reason what I do, I make it simple to cook. It's tasty, so people will enjoy it, and it's also healthy as well. So people look at the food and go, I can make that.
Yeah.
This is simple, this is tasty, and this is healthy. So that was the meaning of going around to do the food, by making it simple, by making it tasty, and by making it healthy, by PW, which is obviously myself.
For a lot of people, the thing that puts them off, and it's what puts me off cooking as well, is the amount of preparation and the amount of prep time as well.
Preparation is the fun part, because whenever you prep, you cut an onion the way you want to cut it. You cut a pepper the way you want to cut a pepper.
Yeah.
Because the secret in cooking is the preparation. And if you get the right preparation, your food will look good, it'll be appealing to the eye, and it'll be fanciful, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
Would it be a good word for people?
So what kind of stuff are you promoting on the website then? What kind of food have we
I
got?
promote everything.
Yeah.
I promote everything from soups to stews to casseroles to rice dishes to curries, anything you want. I have an idea in my head, and once I have an idea in my head, it's like a song. I write it like musicians write songs down. I write food, and I put food down so people can go, how are people going to react to my food tonight, and how are they going to say, what's Paul making tonight?
Yeah.
So I would now think and say, okay, I'm going to make a curry tonight, but I'm going to make a curry a certain way so people can go, that's easy, I can make that. Rather than look up a gourmet book and say, I can't make that, this is too complicated.
Yes.
I try to go back to the page by making it simple and tasty and healthy.
Okay, let's come back to your journey now as well. You mentioned you started off in the Beachlawn Hotel peeling the potatoes. Then you were in a tent for a while, weren't you?
Yes, I left the Beachlawn because when I was younger, I always wanted to travel the world. I was always a dreamer, and I decided to move to Jersey and the Channel Islands. So I lived in a tent for 6 months, and there was holes over this tent, 2-man tent.
Yeah.
And to me, it was home. It was great. So lived in a tent, middle of the field. I had 40 cows around me, which was the best thing. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
I thought this is great. You know, you're coming home every night, you see your tent, and you're going, this is great. I'm home. But then you're waking up the next morning, and you're going to the hotel. It was completely crazy, but I loved it. I wouldn't change it for the world.
Then you found yourself in London, and you ended up in the Savoy Hotel. That can't have been an easy gig to get.
No, it wasn't. Back when I was in Jersey, the head chef at the time said to me, he says, if you want to progress as a chef, you need to go to London to develop. So I applied for all these different jobs. I applied for the Savoy, the Dorchester, the Ritz, all these different places when I was away.
Yeah.
So my mother contacted me one day and says, look, there's all these hotels, they're sending you application forms. What are you doing? And I says, well, I want to go and work in London. So the Savoy at the time was the biggest hotel in the world, and still is the biggest hotel in the world. So I went I applied for it. I got an interview. So I went for the interview, and the chef at the time, I had to cook in front of 200 chefs for my trial.
Wow, no pressure.
So no pressure, no pressure. So I'm sitting thinking, going, whoa, what am I going to do? Well, I hadn't a clue. I made a mess.
Yeah.
And I think I made the steak that I made was burnt. The potatoes were dry, and they're all just looking at me going, you're not really a chef, are you? And I was going, no. So whenever the interview was over, the trial was over, I thought, forget about this, I'll never make it.
Yeah.
So I was called into the office by the second chef at the time, was a guy called Marcus Brown.
It's a big name in the business.
It's a huge big name, and still is. And so I worked in what they call the Savoy Grill. And so they brought me in and they said, look, we'll watch how you cook, we'll see how you do things, and you're not really a chef. We don't think you're cut out for this type of work. And I says, I want to be a chef. I haven't got enough experience still to be a chef. I says, but I want to learn, I want to develop. So the magic words to them were to learn and develop. So I thought, this is it. So they said to me, says, well, if you want to learn, you want to develop, you're in the right place. We'll help you, we'll guide you, and we'll help you develop. So I thought, brilliant. So first day in the Savoy, I was back to peeling potatoes. So I thought, this is a job as a chef.
Yeah.
I said, I peeled potatoes in my last job. I said, why am I coming over from leaving Belfast to the Beachlawn Hotel to come over to work in the Savoy, the biggest hotel in the world, and still peel potatoes? I said, what am I doing? This is not a chef job, you know? So I stuck with it, and peeling potatoes, peeling carrots, all the worst jobs in the world.
Yeah.
But apparently, when you go into a big hotel, you start off on the section of a veg. So you do all the veg prep and all this.
Yes.
So I was doing this for 4 or 5 months. I was going, I don't know if I'm interested in this. I can't be annoyed. So then the chef says, okay, we'll put you on the different section. So from there, he put me on to a soup section. So he taught me how to make soups. He taught me how to make, so this developed as long. I went from a soup section to a grill section, to all the different sections that you get in the kitchen. So still to this day, a lot of soups that I make were from what I learned in the Savoy, from a lot of soups, a lot of sauces. A lot of them would be my inspiration from back in the Savoy when I learned then. I would still use it then.
So for a lot of people, the Savoy would be the career highlight, but then you found yourself in Australia and the Sydney Opera House. Tell us about that.
That was crazy. That was one of those jobs that happened by accident. I just went over. and I needed the job, and the Sydney Opera House at the time was the place to be.
Mhm.
It was a dream.
Yeah.
And the way I always looked at it is I always wanted to work in certain places throughout the world. The Savoy was one of them. The Sydney Opera House was another. The Sydney Opera House was a short amount of time, but at the same time it was a big stepping stone for me, because I thought I knew a lot in cooking, but when you go to Australia,
Yeah.
you start from the bottom again, and you work your way up.
So you weren't back peeling spuds.
So I was not peeling spuds, but it was the same thing I was doing. Like, I was doing veg prep and I was doing everything else, and I just thought, you know what? I says, this chef job, I says, this is not glamorous.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, you're a million miles away from home.
Yeah.
So you're a million miles away from home and you're peeling veg and you're doing this here and you're sitting thinking back at yourself again, what am I doing? What am I doing? You know, peeling veg, Beachlawn, sitting in the Opera House, Savoy, peeling veg, you know. It's a bit crazy.
So you're back home in Belfast now?
Back home in Belfast, going around different places now, showing my expertise and hopefully passing on my knowledge to a lot of people.
And you must have realised since coming back as well, the restaurants, we're doing really good restaurants here, Michelin-starred restaurants. Our food in Belfast is really good at the moment, isn't it?
Food in Belfast is brilliant. Food's coming on, and it's good to see restaurants back open again.
Mhm.
You know, because I think a lot of people missed during lockdown and during COVID.
Yeah.
That they missed going out and they missed socialising and they missed going to restaurants. You know, so I think it's important to try and get Northern Ireland back on the map, because I think we're good at what we do. We have a lot of excellent chefs in Belfast and in Northern Ireland, but a lot of people don't know of the chefs that we have here.
Yeah.
So if we can develop, or we can actually showcase what we have in Belfast, we will get more and more people here.
What about advice for any young chefs out there who are maybe just starting off? They maybe find themselves in the kitchen like you did, peeling the spuds and thinking, I'm going nowhere. What kind of advice would you give them?
Don't give up.
Yeah.
Don't give up, because it's hard at the start, but it does get easier.
Yeah.
Because if you're willing to work hard, if you're willing to work long shifts and tiring shifts, you'll never go hungry.
Yeah.
And the saying goes, you never trust a skinny chef.
Exactly, yes.
Because if you eat your food and you enjoy your food, what you're doing, you pass it on to people, and people will enjoy your food and respect you more.
Indeed. Well, talking about enjoyable food, your website is live now, and there's lots of fabulous recipes on there, isn't there?
A lot of fabulous recipes, and I'm always at hand. So if people ever want to get in touch with me, they can always get in touch with me. And I'm always up for showing people how to cook it. I'm always out for giving the people my recipes, because at the end of the day, my biggest thrill is see people enjoy my food.
Yeah.
And people making the food and just saying, I've made that dish from Paul Waters. And to me, when somebody sends me a photograph of the food that they've made, to me it's the best feeling in the world, and says, look, I've just made your food. I love that. Thank you very much.
If they want to check out the website, where do they go to for that?
Go to a page called Simple Tasty Healthy by PW on Facebook, and you'll find everything there. You'll find myself there, you'll find all the food, and never be afraid to get in touch with me, and I'll always be there to help.
Brilliant, Paul. Thank you so much for coming in.
No worries, Robin. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Now, that's all we have time for on the show this week. Big thank you to all of my guests. Thank you for watching as well, and to play us out, the brand new single from country music star Claudia Buckley. She's also back out on the road with an Irish tour this November, and her new single is called Come On In. We're going to play it for you now. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Come on in, sit right down and make yourself at home. If I had one wish, I wish I could go back to my old neighborhood, where the good folks, they all love you as their own. Then I go over to my neighbor's house, knock on the door, they'd all sing out, come on in, sit right down and make yourself at home. I'd sing their praises long and loud, 'cause they're all my folks, and I'm mighty proud of the little old town back home where I was born. I wish that I could hear them say in the good old-fashioned friendly way, come on in, sit right down and make yourself at home.
Welcome to Movie House Cinemas. Popcorn? Yes, please. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the movie. Reclining chairs? Don't mind if I do. Action, thriller, romance, we got it all. Discover the cinema today. Movie House Cinemas, home of the movies.